he made sure that wouldn't happen. It was about him. If anybody was going to have access to all these non-black women, it was going to be Bill. He wasn't going to help you get into a position to eclipse him. So he didn't help Richard Pryor. He wouldn't collaborate with Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, or anybody else. He didn't collaborate with him. You could work for him, but he wasn't going to collaborate with other black people. And the other comedians at the time were like, okay, we see that. We'll remember that. And that's why when Eddie Murphy came back to Saturday Night Live all these decades later, and Chris Rock was standing up there, when he made that comment about Bill Cosby, everybody joined in with him. Nobody condemned him for that because they all understood, yeah, we went through the same thing with him. Bill Cosby tried to play the game. He attempted to play the game where he would help white society to denigrate the image of black men, that he would become the chief cheerleader for doing so, but in order to maintain his privileged position. And then he found out, oh, by the way, we're coming for you too. Once they came for him, all of a sudden he started talking like us. It wasn't that Bill didn't know this from the beginning. He thought he had made a lane for himself, that he would have become something other than black. That's not the way it works. He found out that when you're black, they go back and overturn laws. Statute of limitations? What statute of limitations? We can retroactively undo that. All these things that they tell you they can't do for black folk, it's too hard, it's too legislatively difficult, you can't get police arrested for assaulting people. All of a sudden, when it happens to a white person, you watch how miraculously swiftly the system moves on their behalf. All of the things they told you that they couldn't do for you when you went to say you've been victimized by white society, all of a sudden those machines moved with lightning speed. Legislation can be overturned and reversed. Sealed court documents can be opened. Cases can be reopened. Double jeopardy don't mean a damn thing. All of a sudden, all the things they tell you can't, they don't protect you as a black person, is too difficult. All of a sudden, it happens with ease. When it's time to come after you, it happens with ease. Oh, yeah, and the same folks who told you that it couldn't happen for you, they fall silent. None of them are jumping up saying, we don't believe this is happening. This is unbelievable. This is outrageous. All of a sudden, they fall silent. You went for the bait. And that is why this microphone that has been a long time critic of Bill Cosby came to say, while I do not defend Bill Cosby's behavior toward black people, I will be damned if I will sit here and help you to lynch this man. If we all don't have equal protection under the law, then we all should have equal victimization under the law. But a double standard where if you're white, you are a supreme citizen, but if you're black, you are in a servitude status. Oh, hell no. So when I saw them rallying the wagons to go after Bill Cosby, this microphone said, no, I'm not going to co-sign that. I am not. I can see this outrageously, radically different way in which you're treating him. I was not defending Bill Cosby's rights. I was defending my own. And I was defending yours. Because if we allow this to happen to him, we've opened the door for it to happen to us. If we sit by silently and allow them to execute laws in a radically different way than they do when we come to them, then that's opening the door for it to happen to all of us. If black people require video evidence and witnesses and a signed confession, but a white woman simply requires pointing her finger, I'm not going to sign off on that. If all she's got to do is point her finger and handcuffs start flying, then as a black person All I should have to do is blink my eye and handcuffs should start flying. People should start getting indicted. Don't sit up here and try to tell me that Kobe is some other, because that's a game that they play with black folk. You see, with black people, they can play nationalism against you. When if a white woman accuses you of something, white society is not going to take a look at her political ideology before deciding to victimize you and deny you of your rights as a black person. They're not going to look at who she voted for in the last election and say, well, she's fair game because she voted for a Democrat or she voted for a Republican. They're going to say, go arrest that nigga. They're going to start looking for more evidence against you. The news media is going to come out and compile more propaganda against you. They are not going to sit there and let you say this white woman is fair game. They're not going to help you to do that because they understand that once you allow that to happen, you have just undermined white supremacy. Why is abuse and brutality so essential to the practice of white supremacy? I want to explain this to you all right now. Why is abuse and brutality so essential to the social order of maintaining white supremacy? I want you to understand a very simple concept. What do you call somebody who has superior powers and superior abilities to you, who is not allowed to use those powers to harm you? Think about that for a few moments. What do you call somebody who has superior powers and superior abilities to you, but they do not have the right to harm you or abuse those powers? A person who's got superior powers to you, but is not allowed to abuse their powers. What do you call that person? It's a very simple word that you call that person. You call that person a servant. He is one who serves you because he's got all powers in the world except the ability to use them against you. So you may not be able to build skyscrapers, but you have the ability to have him do it. That is your power at work. If he is unable to use his powers against you, then he is your servant. And as black people, we don't think of the world that way. White supremacy does. If we are unable to use our status to abuse black people, then we are not white people, we are black people's servants. Therefore, the component of abuse and brutalization must exist and must be executed on a regular basis to reinforce our status as the superior. If we are denied that ability, then we are these people's servants.
No, I didn't know that.
So there must always be a double standard. We must always be cognizant of if a black person walks up and accuses a white person of something, we must always be cognizant of that. You cannot allow that to become a norm. So George Washington, understand something, people, a lot of you have been under the mistaken notion that somehow George Washington and the boys are withering on the vine and that their influence is waning and that slavery, that it's no longer socially acceptable. People, ain't nobody did nothing about George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Robert E. Lee. Yes, I understand they're starting to remove them as being officially recognized holidays. I think in Virginia they just did that. But people, understand something. Their place in the social order is not being erased. Their status is still maintained. Understand that. Don't let anyone fool you into believing otherwise. We haven't made any progress about destroying these icons. We haven't made any progress. And they're not going to let you do that. Because someone who has the power to enslave other people, in the mind of the white supremacists, that is the definition of greatness. Kobe Bryant didn't do a damn thing to that white woman. But the media doesn't care. They just want an excuse to go after you. They don't care what the circumstances are. They just want an excuse. And then from there, they get everybody else. So it went from being about Kobe Bryant to being about the rest of the NBA. When they say professional sports, they're talking about black men. When they say professional sports, they're talking about us. They're talking about us. And if we help them to normalize making us a metaphor for fair game, then understand you're next. Anytime, any place that they want to come after you, you're next. So you have to ask yourself a question. Do you want to be fair game? Do you want to be fair game? Do you want to create an environment where you are fair game? I'm telling you, don't do that. I was not a basketball fan. I am not a basketball fan. You all know how I feel about organized sports. But you're not going to speak against Kobe Bryant. Not the dominant society you won't. And as black people, I highly encourage you not to do so either. I understand his track record. I understand that. But you need to understand, as black people, white society does not allow us to go after white folk. They don't allow us to do that. They don't allow us to pick and choose who we get to victimize. They don't allow us to do that. They will let you have one or two here or there, but they don't believe in helping you to pick and choose targets. That's why they started going after us after we knocked off Hillary Clinton in 2016. They were like, oh, hell no, you niggas ain't gonna pick and choose targets. You're not gonna be the ones who decide that these are targets. We'll allow you a few tokens, but you don't get to say, no, we're going after the big one. You don't get to do that. And as black men, I want you to understand that this is the vocabulary of empowerment. You don't allow these people to speak against another black man as he has been killed. You don't allow people to sit up here and dance on his grave. You don't allow them to do that. You don't allow them to drag the body of another black male through the streets and celebrate and talk about, oh, we're going to assassinate his image over his dead body. You don't let them do that. Because you just opened the door for them to do that to you. Because you refuse to accept. You think you got some privileged status. That, well, they just doing it to him because, he was wrong for what he did. I know he was wrong because they said he was wrong. So, I can't support that there. It's injustices out here, but, we got to be the bigger people. We have to be the more moral people. People, if you are supporting immorality against yourself, you're not a moral person. If you are supporting people treating you unequally, you are not a moral person. By definition, a coward is not moral. By definition, he cannot be. By definition, a coward is the most immoral. By definition. You're not to allow these people to speak against us. You're not to allow them to take the image of a black man of accomplishment and then say, now we're here to attack that image. People, if it's so important to these white supremacists to attack his image, that's your first damn clue that you need to be stopping them. That's your first clue that you don't let that happen. If they're all getting together and rallying the wagons and circling the wagons and saying, we're going to choose this target, that's your first clue that it's wrong. You don't let that occur. You certainly don't support it. I have these problems when I speak to black people about power brokers and our need to have them. And when I use examples of people like Nikki Barnes, Frank Lucas as examples of power brokers, then you got black folk who don't like that when I do that. They want to start playing morality police. These are niggas ain't never won nothing. These are folks who are telling us, well, it doesn't matter if we have another 5 centuries of poverty, we're the most moral. His definition of morality, which usually involves subservience, cowardice, and submission. Nikki Barnes fed the hood. Go watch that documentary, Mr. Untouchable. Nikki Barnes fed the hood. People was eating better. Money was free flowing. They got to see what it was like to live a life that was not poverty. They got to thinking about the world differently. They got to stop wishing about things and start to actually live. As I've explained to you all, the entire point of white supremacy is simple. White supremacy's sole aim is to determine who shall eat the finest in life and who shall have the scraps from the table. That is the entire purpose of white supremacy, whether it's politics, media, schools, anything else. Its sole purpose is to determine who will eat the finest cuts, who will have the finest things, and who will eat the scraps and wear the rags. That's its entire point of existence. And they have determined that, as you can tell, they call it white supremacy. So they have already predetermined that they shall have the finest. They shall have the best. And you, by virtue of nothing more than your blackness, it has been determined that you shall eat the scraps. You shall wear the rags. You shall carry the burdens of hardship. And they shall enjoy a life of leisure. Now, I shouldn't have to tell you that when someone executes that type of mentality against you, you are at war with them. And a lot of folks are cowards, so they start trying to rationalize why it's okay not to fight it. But let's just be very clear. It's not because you're moral, it's because you are a coward. You are defeated. When I go to war, ain't sparing no blows, ain't pulling no punches. Anything goes. Anything goes. If you can drag it into the ring, you can use it. Anything goes. I didn't come to play, I didn't come to play I came to play to win. Anything goes. And when you're in a system that has stacked the deck against you and you are in denial of that reality, that tells me you didn't come to play to win, you came to play to play. And you probably didn't even come to play to play. You just came to talk. I'm not going to allow white society to condemn black people who had to get by how they got by. I'm not going to do that until a couple of centuries of them allowing me to do it to them. If you allow me to accuse and denigrate white folk on command, and I get a big megaphone to do it, after a couple of centuries of that, all right, then maybe we can go ahead and make this quote equal later. I don't know. We'll revisit the subject at that time. I can't, no promises, no guarantees, but we'll revisit it. But at the current status quo, oh, hell no. No. You're going to get what you give. You're going to get what you give. We as black people, I don't sit up here and quibble over power brokers. I don't do that. And I don't allow outsiders to determine who they should be. Those are arguments I can have with black folk. I'm not going to allow outsiders to tell me that. You don't get to determine that. As black people, we need to understand that the dominant society, if you allow the dominant society to choose your role models, icons, and power brokers, they will always choose the weakest. They will always choose the individual who says, black folk, you can do whatever you want to so long as white society approves. They'll always choose that guy. That was why after Dr. King was killed, they overlooked what he was doing in his life. He was saying, we're coming to Washington to get the money. And then they said, roll that clock backwards. Let's just talk about loving your enemy. And we're all brothers and integration. And I have a dream of little black boys and little white girls. I want us to let's talk about that. Forget everything else. So they created a caricature of Dr. King that did not exist, and they jumped on him immediately upon his death. They said, we're not going to allow this to get any wings whatsoever. It's not going to grow any legs whatsoever. We're going to kill this baby in its crib. We're going to kill this baby in its crib. Unfortunately for them, it's a new day. And we have resurrected the true Dr. King. But understand, people, when it was left up to them about what to think of Dr. King and how to remember him and how to memorialize him to black people, they said, oh, Dr. King was all about nonviolence, which was another word for being meek. Nonviolent. When white folk brutalize you, you take the high road. What's the definition of the high road? Oh, you just take it. Is that going to stop them from brutalizing you? Maybe. Wait a minute. So you mean if somebody attacks me, my proper response should be to take it no matter what? Yep. Okay. Just out of curiosity, if I hit them, is it also incumbent upon them to respond the same way? Oh, no. You touch them, they're going to try to kill you, nigger. Oh, but if they touch you now, you be the moral person. People, that's not morality. But that was the repackaged Dr. King that they brought to us. This phony who didn't exist. Because they understood the power of jumping on someone's memory as soon as they're dead. They understood the power of that. And that's why we have to understand the power of not allowing it to happen. If you are going to speak about black people, then you can only speak about us on our terms, not yours. But if you allow these people to choose your icons or how you should remember other black people, they are always going to choose the weakest, most subservient to white society and tell you, hey, that's a guy you need to be like him. They're going to sanitize that person's history and claim they did things they didn't do, or if they were black activists, they're going to erase that. Madam C.J. Walker. They're going to sell you Booker T. Washington and show him with Teddy Roosevelt. They're going to always show it to you as us being subservient. They're going to choose us in a subservient role and hold that up as the example for us to follow. That's why you cannot allow them a seat at the table to control the discussion. They're not going to bring you empowerment. They're going to bring you puppets. If you allow them to define
I didn't know that.
a quote legitimate path to power, it's always going to be a path to weakness.
Yeah, I'm gonna catch it after Jason Black and shit is off. All right.
Let me go here with it right now. You know what? Let me go ahead and just let y'all know what the real damn thing is. I ain't gonna play around about it. Let me just let you know what the real damn thing is then. Since we here, we gonna go all the way with it. I ain't got a damn, if you all really want to know what Jason Black feels, let me tell you what I feel. I don't really have a problem with some of the stuff y'all might have a problem with in its proper context. I really don't. I truly don't. My only problem with Onika Mirage, aka Nicki Minaj, is she's a slut who does not use her power to benefit Black people. But as far as her butt implants, her breast implants, the sexuality controls, as far as that, I don't have a problem. That's not really my biggest issue. Don't want my daughter doing it. Certainly don't want to promote it. But in the greater scheme of things, if she was using it to feed the block, I'd feel differently about it. Don't tell me about no damn Christmas hams, nigga. Don't tell me about no Christmas damn turkeys. Don't tell me about no damn scholarships. We need businesses. I need other Black folk to get put on as power brokers. I need power brokers who cultivate other power brokers. Mark Zuckerberg is a power broker today because when Facebook was taken off, other white men who were power brokers invested in Facebook, and now he's a bigger power broker than they are. They didn't say, well, as long as you 10% of what we got. We need Black power brokers who cultivate other power brokers. That's why I've always had a problem with Tyler Perry. He doesn't cultivate other Black people to be power brokers. He just wants to have them mind the store. And I'm saying, Tyler, that's wrong. You need to get the hell out your films. You need to be a guy who makes stars. You don't need to be in your films anymore. You need to be making stars. And if you can't make stars, there's no reason for your studio to exist. This is just another plantation. I don't have a problem with gangster rap. What you doing with the money is what I want to know now. That I do have a problem with. Don't tell me a damn thing about T.I. Harris. T.I. Harris has spoken up for Black people. T.I. Harris has been in the streets while your mushmouth attorneys ain't filed a damn lawsuit on behalf of anybody. Who the hell are you to speak on T.I., who's been in the streets and doing the work? Who the hell are you? While other Black, quote, celebrities have been quiet, he ain't did that. I'll even give it to 50 Cent to a degree. 50 Cent has used his connections to make media vehicles. I mean, we talk about Omari Hardwick today. You can talk about this white woman all you want to. You know who he is because of power. That's 50. 50 helped other Black folk get put on. You may disagree about these other Black folks' personal lives. Okay, that's a separate discussion. He's helped other Black folk get put on. Oh, yeah, and it was gangster rap got in there. I don't have a problem with that. If you want me to have a problem with that, I don't. I really don't. And if that offends you, to hell with you. I really don't. We're playing a game against people who ain't playing by no damn rules. Far as I'm concerned, my people can get it how they get it.
Jackpot.
And white society ain't got a damn thing to say about it.
Jackpot.
My people can get it how they get it. Y'all are set up here and rig the damn game to make sure we don't get nothing. That we can do all of the right, quote unquote, right things, and we don't get nothing.
Shot in the back.
And then you're going to tell me about, oh, he played by the rules, and you want to sit up here and praise us for losing. They love praising Black folk for losing. You were the noble failure. Chasing a lost cause. You were the noble failure. To hell with that. In the movie 300, yeah, it started with the Battle of Thermopylae. Yeah, it started there. But if you notice at the end of the film, 300 ended the way the Braveheart did. If you all don't remember. See, when it's white folk, they don't present lost causes. They present stories of sacrifice, not lost causes. So at the end of the movie 300, you saw as one of the survivors of the Battle of Thermopylae was rallying the troops and said, "And here as we stand on this battlefield of Plataea." So the entire movie was about the sacrifices of the Battle of Thermopylae, where they lost to the Persians, then to take you to Plataea, which was the area where they began to beat the Persians back. You see, where they give you stories of sacrifice, not stories of failure. They don't lionize failures. William Wallace, in the movie Braveheart, which, as we all know, they took a lot of creative license, a lot of things that were just simply not true, and portrayed them as real. At the end of the film, William Wallace is executed, dismembered. But at the end of the film, it's like 300. It shows the troops have been rallied and they're charging the British. William Wallace was not the end, it was the beginning. As Black people, they make sure that when they tell your stories, it ends in failure. You ain't got nowhere. American Gangster, Denzel Washington. Love that movie. How does the movie end? Remember what Russell Crowe tells him in the film. You can spend the rest of your life in prison rich, or you can get out of prison and be poor. And of course, Frank Lucas chooses to tell on everybody, and he leaves prison. He eventually gets out of prison, and the money's all gone. That's how they present our stories to us. Now, another thing I want you to keep in mind, by the way, is that the way that they portray, white heist films, by the way? Is that the way that they portray these heist movies, or these drug dealer movies with white men? Is that the way they portray those, by the way? There was a movie on Netflix with Ben Affleck, Triple Frontier, basically about a bunch of foreign military guys who went and essentially it was a heist movie. They stole some money from some drug dealers. But by the end of the film, they were unable to get the money back to the States. And so they basically had to drop it in a ravine somewhere. And it was portrayed as if, the money was lost and this, that, and the other, and they really all did it for nothing, and they should be examining their morality and so on and so forth. But by the end of the film, one of the characters has got a piece of paper that ostensibly shows the coordinates to where the money had been dropped, where they had left the money at. They don't present you with stories of failure. They present you with stories of sacrifice. Now, when you're Black, you're told that at the end of the story, you lost everything. You lose it all. New Jack City, American Gangster, Sugar Hill. We can go down the list. When you're Black, you're going to lose it all. That's how it's portrayed to you. Ocean's 11, Ocean's 12. No. It ain't going to go that way. It doesn't matter what we doing. If we white, it's going our way. Morality doesn't enter the picture. So they have sold Black people failure as being a moral attribute. And a lot of Negroes are bought into it because they're weak. They like buying into that weakness. That's not me. That's not me at all. I don't have a problem. In principle, I don't have a problem with all the booty shakers on Instagram. I have a problem with the fact you hoes are doing it wrong. You ain't getting nothing. You're all broke. You're all shaking your butts because you're hoping you can get some millionaire somewhere to come through the strip club and play Prince Charming and save your ass. But you don't really have an exit strategy. Be mad at Kim Kardashian all you want to. She had an exit strategy. She's not still making sex videos. She had an exit strategy. The only difference between her and most of these other hoes is they don't have one. That's what you need to keep in mind. I'm not putting rules on black women like that. I'm really not. I'm not putting rules on black men like that. I'm really not. If you're succeeding, I don't really have a whole lot to say. I really don't. Because I understand that we're playing in a game against people who ain't got no rules whatsoever when it comes to us. Stacking the deck, playing from the bottom of the deck, making the playing field unlevel as hell. That's who we up against. So don't sit here and preach morality to me in an intrinsically immoral situation. The only immorality is allowing my people to remain in this wretched condition and then to sell that condition as being morality, as being something to be proud of. Well, we ain't gonna do like them. I mean, it's wrong if they do that then. Okay, what should we do then? Well, I mean, we should wait for Jesus to provide. I mean, it just ain't right. Nigga, you's a coward. Let's just say it like that. Just say it like it is. You're a coward. You're just scared. You're not taking us anywhere. You're just a coward. You're just a coward. That's all. I want to lay down to some of y'all the facts of life. There's a bunch of people that I can't take seriously. I can't take you seriously because you don't have a formula for succeeding. You don't have a formula for succeeding. You're not taking us anywhere. So you allow these kind of things to happen. You allow them to attack other black folk and sit up here and say, oh, that's good. Well, Jason, you talk against black folk. I talk about black people to other black people. I don't go among white circles and talk to them. That was hella off code for Earthquake and DL Hughley and all those others to go in front of that white man, Vlad TV, DJ Vlad. Y'all get in front of him and talking crap about Bill Cosby as if DL Hughley gets a woman to accuse him of sexual assault, that same DJ Vlad is going to bring that woman in front of his cameras and say, give me all the details. Tell me everything. The exact same white man you sitting there breaking bread with, DL, while you sitting up here burying Bill Cosby in front of him, thinking it's all cute, just understand that's the same one be going after you. Let's be very clear about that. While you skinning and grinning and thinking that, oh, I'm going to use white daddy as an equalizer to bury another black person, just understand, yeah, he's going to come for you next. If he ever gets an opportunity, and it doesn't have to be a sexual assault charge, if he ever gets an opportunity, if the opportunity ever presents itself, he's going to come after you with the exact same veracity and ferocity. Earthquake. I can understand you brothers are unhappy with the way Cosby did things. That's a discussion to have among other black people. So when some jackass talks about Bill Cosby helped black folk, you jump up and say, no, that's not actually true. That's a conversation among us. White people don't come to us and demonize other white folk. Asians don't come to us and demonize other Asians, Peter Liang. Andrew Yang is talking about a lot of folk. He ain't talking about Peter Liang, is he? Go see if you can get a sound bite from Andrew Yang to say Peter Liang should be in prison. Go see if you can get Andrew Yang to put out a tweet saying that Peter Liang needs to be in prison. You bring up Peter Liang, he's going to talk about police reform. He's not going to tell you to put that Asian in under the damn prison. He's not going to do that. And he's not going to co-sign you saying it either. And that's 100. That's why you a jackass if you go for the bait. These other people are not going to help you and enable you in doing that. Black society needs power brokers today. We need people who inspire others. And while Kobe Bryant didn't live up to that in his life, I will be damned if I'm going to help the dominant society to victimize someone who wears my uniform as a black man and hold him to a standard you've never held yourselves to and don't hold yourselves to today. I will be damned if I'm going to allow you to do that, because I see the game you're playing. You're playing a game that's meant for all of us to lose, and to see if you can convince us to co-sign that. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I understand the power of the image of a black man. I understand the power of the image of a black man who has succeeded. Understand something, people. There's a reason why they gather up coons and revolutionaries alike. There's a reason why when they go to war against us, they gather up your coons and gather up your revolutionaries just the same. They get everybody, because they understand the power of imagery. They will talk about great black men in history. They don't build shrines. They don't build pictures. They make sure if you do talk about him, oh, wait a minute, let's remind you about why he's not great. Let's remind you about that though. Let's remind you. Black people are the only people in the world who carry the names of great white men who oppressed and enslaved us. And you expect me to go to war against the image of a black man in this society? Not going for it. A lot of black folk are addicted to the idea that they've got so many damn daddy issues and mommy issues. You're so weak and powerless in your personal life that you gonna try to use white folk as an equalizer to go after other black people. But you're not using white people as an equalizer to go after white folk. They won't let you. They won't let you. As black people, we're not playing the power game. We're playing the petty game. Don't let anybody deceive you into thinking that you are going to attack these people and that will be seen as anything other than attacking all black people. Don't let anyone deceive you into thinking that. What we say amongst each other is a code of conduct and discipline, but you don't co-sign these other people doing that. You don't co-sign that. You don't sign off on that. You don't help enable and encourage them to attack the image of another black person. The reason that you have so many black folk who do that is because most niggas out here today are suicidal. Or should I say there are a lot of suicidal ones. They don't have a future. They're not going anywhere. They 20 years old and peaked. What they got right now is the best they're ever going to have. So they're suicidal. They're suicidal. And the idea of having to succeed frightens them. So it's very easy for them to go in front of the first white microphone they can find and go attack another black person. He's not doing anything. He has accepted the subservient position he's been given. I'm talking to black people about being unlimited. Let me say this in no uncertain terms, just in case anybody is still mistaken about where I stand. If you are a black person in America today, if you are a building, if you are accumulating wealth on behalf of your people to improve our position, I don't care how you do it. I really don't. I really don't. The only thing I would probably hold out is say pedophilia. If you're running around doing things to kids, I'm not going to co-sign that. Pretty much anything else is fair game. Pretty much anything else. Yeah. I can go for that. Anything else. Pretty much anything else I can go for. I can do that. Because my people ain't playing a fair game. I'm not going to talk about other athletes and white athletes who've done stuff and the white media has been quiet about that. You already know the names. You already get that. What I'm telling you all is these folks should not even be allowed to speak on us. They shouldn't even be allowed to speak on us. How the hell are you going to do that? You shouldn't even be allowed to talk on us, except about what we tell you to. If you are not speaking about our agenda on our terms, you shouldn't be allowed to speak on us. How the hell are you going to put us in a bad position and then sit up here and try to criticize the people who are fighting through the quagmire of that? Kobe Bryant didn't live in a free black world. He didn't choose to be born in Europe. He didn't choose to be born in a colonized planet. He didn't choose to be whitewashed. I'm not saying that excuses him from shirking his civic duty to black people. I'm not saying that. But I am acknowledging the environment that created it, because I understand that environment. Kobe Bryant is now dead and gone. Rest in peace. But the environment is still there. That environment that inculcated him is still here, and we still fighting it. Whatever his shortcomings were to black people, understand that he was in that system. That does not mean that we don't speak against it, and that doesn't mean that we don't identify what his shortcomings were amongst ourselves. But I'll be damned if we allow the people who put us all in this position to sit here and wag their fingers at us and talk about what we need to do and what we need to prioritize, and condemning someone who looks like me. I'll be damned if I'm going to sit back and allow that to happen. When white women lie, black men die, you don't have a damn word to say to condemn us. We tell you what to say. You don't have a word to say. Not now, not till the end of time. You don't have that. You don't have it. How the hell you gonna sit up here and condemn Frank Lucas when I have yet to see anybody put the cops who killed his cousin on trial? Shoved a shotgun into his mouth, busted out his front teeth, and then blew out the back of his head. Frank Lucas became a dope dealer after that. Frank Lucas came from the southern United States and brought the game to New York and said, I see how this white society gets down. I ain't pulling no punches, because they ain't pulling any. That was my cousin, but it just as easily could have been me. I ain't pulling no punches. And as black folk, we need to recognize that. Not going to say necessarily being victims of circumstance, but you are certainly born under the conditions of history, as Dr. John Henrik Clarke said. And I am acknowledging that history. And people who have been put in that position, I'll be damned if the people who put us in that position are then going to condemn us. As Malcolm X said, they clip your wings and accuse you of not being able to fly. They break your legs and call you a cripple. And then they're going to preach to us about what we should be doing, or who we should remember, or how we do so. No, there's a hands-off policy where we are concerned. There's a hands-off policy. You don't get to speak on us. Not now, not ever. You don't get to speak on us. Until we become power brokers over you, you don't get to speak on us. Until we gain the ability to put you in bad positions that you can't extricate yourself from, you don't get to speak on us. You don't get to talk about us. You don't get to make rules of morality for us. When you are devoid of rules of morality, you don't get to do that. Kobe Bryant was not a paragon of Black empowerment, but he was a Black person. He was a Black person who was in a system of white supremacy, and I recognize the power of that imagery. And if we were not able to turn him to our benefit in life, we better understand, we better not let them turn him into a liability in death. We need to seize this as an opportunity. They're trying to use this as an opportunity to denigrate the image of Black men. We need to turn that around and seize this as an opportunity to lionize the image of Black men. We need to turn this into an opportunity to lionize the image of Black people. But that takes courage. It takes courage to stare into a dominant society and say, you will not make the rules for us. That takes courage. It takes courage in a society of color-struck Negroes to take a look at a white woman and tell her, you're wrong. And we ain't going for it. It takes courage in a society that idolizes white women to say, I don't give a damn about interracial sexual access. I am going to defend the interests of my people. And I'm not going to allow you to assassinate this man's image in death. You're not going to do that. You don't get to do that with him. You don't get to do that with any Black person. Any. None. You don't get to do that. That is a discussion amongst me and my people. We will decide the extent to which they will be criticized, but no one is going to speak on the extent to which they should be praised. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to understand something. That doesn't mean we're going to allow them to prop up coons. Not going to do that. You see, once you start trying to put the white supremacist twist on it, we're going to go after you and say, no. You don't get to sit up here and deify coonery. We're not going to allow you to attack that person, but you're not going to praise his cooning neither. You're not going to do that. And we go after the news outlets and the politicians and the celebrities and the personalities who attempt to pass off that fraud. That's how you handle that. But understand, as Black people, whether you like it or not, these people wear your uniform of a Black man, whether you like it or whether you don't. They wear your uniform. And if you allow these people who very clearly their target is not Kobe Bryant, their target is all of you. Because understand, when they start rattling off names, they say, see, it's part of the culture. These professional athletes, next thing you know, they gather up everybody. Now, the white boys, ain't nobody said nothing to them. The CEO of the Giants, white man, drug his damn woman on video. Ain't said nothing about him. Nobody's condemning him. They don't let you condemn the image of white men. I'm talking about in the middle of all of this. And I keep bringing it up. I think people say this is the New York Giants before I said San Francisco. But whichever Giants team it is, that white man didn't get the Antonio Brown treatment. He didn't get the Ray Rice treatment. He didn't get the, who was that? The quarterback of the Buccaneers in the chat room the quarterback of the Buccaneers, Jameis Winston. He didn't get the Jameis Winston treatment. You don't get that in the middle of this so-called Me Too era, but they keep overlooking these white men and evading them and going around them and sidestepping them. They don't get that. As Black people, you don't get to run up and point the finger and say, okay, here's the punishment we're going to bestow on these white men. They don't do that for you. They understand you're not going to turn them into the face of criminality and exercise power over them. And if you define powerlessness as morality, you can go to hell. I mean, for real, you can go to hell. All these aspects of powerlessness, all these multifaceted flavors of submission and weakness, and you're repeating what the dominant society said to us. Well, it's not really weakness. I mean, if it's weakness in pursuit of being moral, I mean, that's perfectly fine. Okay, but you don't demand that your system be weak to us. That was the goal of the so-called founding fathers, was a weak central government. And the central government of the United States is pretty weak, except where Black folk are concerned. Then that son of a gun becomes strong as a mother, don't it? The central government of the United States and its ability to victimize people is pretty weak until a Black person's in the crosshairs. Then that sucker becomes strong as a son of a gun. And your friends in the dominant society become quiet as field mice. When you enable them to denigrate the image of one Black person, especially a Black person who is well known, just understand he is not their target. All of you are. He's a wedge that they intend to use to open up a broader discussion. Because they're going to say, and Kobe Bryant, he played for the NBA, he was a great player, and this, that, and the other. You know, he did have that sexual assault thing. And we need to examine that because that's his true legacy. And there's plenty of others walking around out here. And then it becomes about you. Just that quickly, they were able to exploit him and then turn it about you, and specifically about you. If you don't believe me, ask these people to say, I also need you to send out a tweet condemning that Harvey Weinstein and Kevin Spacey and all these other folk have not been sent to prison yet and are really being put on the track to be released. I need you to say that. Watch them buck back on you quickly. Watch them say, well, yeah, I mean, I've said something about that before. No. I need you to put up the same type of tweet now so we can go ahead and even it out. And then we'll see if we can discuss this later. They're going to stop you quick. No, you're not going to do that. You are not going to make this a conversation about everybody. They know who they're going after. Let me ask you all a question. In the wake of the O.J. Simpson trial, do you understand the power of those visuals? Even though they didn't really show the white woman's face, they showed Kobe Bryant's. And by the way, if you're going to have rape shield laws, why is it, if it's such a damaging crime, why is it that they don't conceal the identities of the accused as well in the media? That's something for us to examine also. If it's really that bad of a crime, then we need to make sure that the innocent are protected because, by the way, you are innocent until proven guilty. If we're going to protect the innocent accuser, why are we not also protecting the innocent accused? That needs to be examined also, particularly where Black men are concerned, because we have always been targets of false accusations of rape by white women. But the white media did not pursue this in the context of America's history and legacy and To Kill a Mockingbird. They didn't do that. They didn't invoke To Kill a Mockingbird and Emmett Till when they talked about Kobe Bryant. All of a sudden, it was as if Kobe Bryant had the same social status as a white man all of a sudden. All of a sudden, the crucible of white women falsely accusing black men, which has always been the narrative, all of a sudden that was swept aside. The media doesn't ever bring up the long established history of white women falsely accusing black men of rape. They don't ever bring that up. So it falls to us. We need to go ahead and bring that up. Falls to us. We have to speak on it. Now, in the wake of the O.J. Simpson case, they weren't doing that because they understood the power of that imagery. Notice they always put that picture up of O.J. with Johnny Cochran, the two niggas that got over. O.J. Simpson might have said to himself, I'm not black, I'm O.J. But the system said, oh, you black, oh, believe us, you black. We will make a believer of your ass. You're black. Believe that. Kobe Bryant might not have believed that he was black, but when the media sank their teeth into him, he found out quick, oh, hell. You found out real quickly that the crucible of American history and the legacy of slavery, all that gets overlooked real quickly. When you're black, all of a sudden, those things didn't happen. Those things don't apply. You find out real quick, yes, it is still a white supremacist society. It still is. And that this game of non-ethnicity is a game you only play with yourself. These other folks ain't playing it with you. That's a game you only play with one person. Nobody else is going to play that game with you. Not in the dominant society. And they understood the power of that imagery. They understood the power of seeing a black man's face and a white woman unable to victimize him. Did you get that? They understood the power of seeing a black man's face that a white person is unable to victimize. Yes, Kobe Bryant, I think he had a white female attorney, as a matter of fact. When they see that happen, you're not their servant anymore. If you've got greater power and ability and you can abuse it, and I'm not saying that Kobe Bryant did, but I'm saying from their perspective, a crime happened. I'm not saying it did. But they understand the power of that imagery. Of a black man telling you, yes, I came here to Colorado. This little slut was looking to lay up. I used her, and then I tossed her out the door. Now, if this had been a black woman, if this had been a black woman accusing a white man, let's just say that it was a black woman who accused Tom Brady, quarterback of the New England Patriots. Had this been a black woman who you found DNA from other men on her underwear, accusing, for example, Tom Brady, would the story have been about Tom Brady and the abuse of privilege as a professional quarterback, or would the story have all been about investigating her sexual history? They would have had wall-to-wall, back-to-back interviews with any and every man who has ever slept with her since middle school. And they would have put her on trial and said, she's not credible, you can't believe her. All of a sudden, you can't believe all women. All of a sudden, it ain't Me Too. That's what it would have been. That's how it would have happened. You don't have any rights under those circumstances. That's what would have occurred. And seeing the face and the image of a well-known, successful black person who, despite all the snares of racism, white supremacy, even if he doesn't acknowledge they exist, he was able to maneuver those things. And then we have an incident of alleged abuse of a white person. Oh no, this is supposed to be our opportunity to make an example of you. See, Bill Cosby, they're doing victory laps about that because they're like, damn it, we missed OJ, we missed Kobe, we missed Michael Jackson. But Bill, we gonna hang him high. See, they had to go find a coon who had been doing their bidding, but they're like, oh no, we're gonna hang him high. We're going to show you we can get one. We can, and not only can we get him all the ways in which we miss Michael Jackson and whatnot, man, we're gonna make this egregious as hell. You can have Angie Dickinson and other people outright admit they were making stuff up, and we're still gonna get him in prison. We are gonna show you that white supremacy is alive and well, and your money will not protect you from us. Because we understand the power of the image of a black man who is exercising power over white people. We understand the power of that image. We understand the power of endorsing the idea that black men can treat a white woman any old kind of way. See, the problem with Kobe Bryant was that he dared to admit that he just used a white girl for a layup. That was the crime he committed. How dare you sit here and proudly sit in front of these microphones and cameras and say, yes, I'm a married black man. I want y'all to know I love my wife. I'm not leaving my wife. I was on the road, and one of the fringe perks of being on the road is groupies. So my wife wasn't there. I just want my wife to know this white girl was just here to serve superficial needs. I'm not leaving you. I'm not divorcing you. I don't want a relationship. She ain't going to be the mistress. She just gave me A+ room service. She gave me the deluxe room service package was what she did. And as soon as she was done, I was like, all right, get out. I got to get ready for the game. No, seriously. Get the F out. I got to get ready for the game. I thought you liked heifer. If you don't get the hell out of here, I don't know you. You see, as a black man, the prospect of interracial sex like that is supposed to make you lose your damn mind. You're supposed to flip the hell out. Not only did he not flip the hell out, he treated this another day in the life. Oh, she wasn't nobody. Oh, we're going to make an example of you. How dare you with your big blackness. So that you don't think anything of white women, you're not deifying her. How dare you? How dare you sexually exploit this white woman? Now, as you all know, this white DJ, I forget his name on top of my head, and it really doesn't matter. He got some sexually transmissible disease, whatever, and has been sleeping with a whole bunch of black women all over the damn place, all these skeezy, scummy, dirty, slummy broads all over the damn place. You haven't seen the white media go ham on him. You ain't seen that happen. You see, a white man has the privilege of exploiting black women under any circumstances, doesn't matter what it is, and the society is going to close ranks around his privilege to do so. But they are not going to extend that privilege to you. You start taking liberties with white women, and they're going to slam the brakes on. Ask your NFL athletes. You start taking privileges with white women, they're going to slam the brakes on. They are not going to sit up here and show you as kings walking and that the white woman is yet another play toy. No, you're not going to do that. There will be a penalty when you try to cross that line. There will be a penalty. O.J. Simpson, you can sit up here and beat this white woman, and then she turns up dead. Think about the image. Think about it from their perspective, what they think of themselves. So what we're saying is that niggas can lay up with white women. You can rape them. You can beat them. You can kill them. And ain't nothing going to happen to you. At this point, what's to prevent them from coming after all of us? If we're going to let OJ and Kobe go, if they can get away with that, where's the deterrent for them to come after any of us? They can come after any of us at any time. We better start making some examples, and a lot of them. Where the hell is Cosby? Where's R. Kelly? Cuba Gooding? Anybody. We need to start putting some points back up on this board. We need to start doing that. It doesn't matter if the charges are ridiculously frivolous. We need to do this. I want you to understand that as Black people, this is not about lionizing him. I'm not a sports person. I'm not a Kobe Bryant fan. You all know I don't watch organized sports. I certainly don't like group sports, team sports. I'm not one of those people. But when I see a bunch of white folk start talking and chattering against a Black person who's never been a stand-up guy for Black people, but then again, he's never tried to target white folk either. He's just tried to sit on the fence. And when I see that occur, I know what you're doing. And I'm saying to my people, do not be a part of that. This is a hard life that we live. Black folk are in a vicious system, in a vicious world order, where everything is calibrated for our failure and engineered to defeat us. We're not supposed to get anything. At the very least, we are to be the last word on another Black person, not the folk who put us in this condition. They don't get to be the last word. They shouldn't get to have a word at all. They have no right to be heard. You don't get to wreck a man's house and then tell him about his housekeeping. You don't get to do that. You don't get to flood a man's floors and then tell him his carpeting is shaggy and the tiles are coming up before. You don't get to do that. As Black people, we only would set ourselves up for that. So if you want to know what I think that Kobe Bryant was a great NBA player. Clearly, I think LeBron James just yesterday, I think it was, passed Kobe for the all-time record of points, I think it was. Kobe Bryant was a great NBA player. I hope that the lessons of his dedication to being excellent will inspire other young Black men who will stand up for the cause of Black people. And that's the way it should be remembered. You are not going to sit here and say Kobe Bryant rapist, Kobe Bryant sexual assault. You're not going to say that in a system of white supremacy. You're not going to say that. You don't get to speak on him. You don't get to speak on any of us. That's your position. Silence. You either praise him or you sit in silence. That's what you do. Because understand something. Open game and fair season is a two-way street. Keep that in mind. If you're new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the Haven of Intelligent Black Thought. Click that red subscribe button. Click that yellow notification bell. We are the Black Media. If you haven't been to our website, blackchannelfilms.com, check it out. You'll see our documentary work, 7 a.m. Gentrified and Race War. Get your copies today. Find somebody who doesn't like Kobe Bryant and send them a free copy. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the BlackChannel.net radio program. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, Black is the future, and the future is untouchable.